Hi guys, welcome to this channel, Moments with Midex, and as always, I am your host on this channel. So, just as I promised, we would be bringing you gist from the entertainment industry, random talks, random gist, and then therapy session. So today is going to be our very first episode of the therapy session, and today we would be discussing paranoid personality disorder, also known as PPD. So whenever you hear me say PPD, it basically means paranoid personality disorder. But before we go into that, there is something that has kept me worked up all week long, and that is the new feature that WhatsApp has. The status, the voice note on the WhatsApp status. This thing has got me worked up all week long. Do you know why? I've updated my WhatsApp like 99 times, and I still can't seem to have that feature. Why? Obviously, Uncle Mark doesn't like me. So please, if you know Uncle Mark, tell him I need that feature on my WhatsApp as soon as possible. Okay, away from that, let's go back to paranoid personality disorder. What does paranoid personality disorder actually mean? It is a mental health condition over a prolonged period of time in which people living with this mental health condition always feel that others are out there to hurt or demean them. Yes, it is a long term pattern of distrust and suspicion. People living with this cannot confide in other people. They find it very hard to trust or believe other people because they always feel that people are there to their own detriment. Okay, people living with paranoid personality disorder start exhibiting this particular feature, this particular mental health in their early teens or late adulthood. First, let's see signs that one might be living with paranoid personality disorder. Number one sign is limiting your social life. When you begin to feel like you do not need people around, you do not need to be social, you do not need to be out there, you might be walking at the verge of paranoid personality disorder. Another sign is doubting commitment and loyalty of others. When you begin to doubt loyalty and commitment of others, despite the fact that they do not even give you reasons to doubt them, then you may be living with paranoid personality disorder. Another sign is the reluctance to confide in people for fear of being judged or for fear of people putting out your business in the open. That might equally be a sign of you living with PPD. Another sign is when you hold grudges and find it very difficult to forgive people. When people do things to hurt you and then you hold grudges, you like, I can never forgive this person. You might be living with paranoid personality disorder. Another is difficulty in relaxing. People with this mental disorder find it very hard to relax. Wherever they are always on their toes. Oh, Lama, I they on my 10 toes. That is exactly what they're always up about. They're always on their toes. They feel like anything can happen, people can, harm them. That is what people with PPD are experiencing. Another is hostile, stubborn, and argumentative. They can be very stubborn. No matter what they're doing and you try correcting them, it is that their own that they know. If you're like that, you might be living with PPD. And last but not the least on this note is reading meaning to expressions in casual looks. Have you been with somebody living with PPD? Somebody that has PPD? Gosh, they will read meaning to every of your facial expressions. See, if you rub your feet too much, they know what it means. If you yell too much, if you raise your voice a little beyond the normal range, it will definitely have a meaning to them. Do you know why I can relate better to this topic is because I've once dated somebody with PPD, and I must tell you, it was not a palatable experience. When Two-Face said, I've been to hell and I'm back, that's me. Hey, that was me in that relationship. Okay, let's go further to causes of PPD. The exact cause of PPD are unknown to scientists, but psychologists say that PPD can stem from childhood trauma such as emotional or physical neglect. Psychologists also believe that PPD can stem from neglect in romantic relationships, heartbreak, the one we call breakfast. PPD can stem from something like that. So, how is PPD diagnosed? In psychology or psychiatry, we often ask questions such as past history, past relationship, family background, previous work experience, and impulse control. That is one way to know if a client is living with paranoid personality disorder. Paranoid personality disorder can also be associated with other personality disorders. When they say that, when your Bible say that, kinikon ati kinikon lo jonrin, ati bi ati re lo jonrin, yes, that's the way I remember. That is exactly how PPD is. PPD does not exist alone. It can coexist with other personality disorders, such as the avoidant personality disorder. This avoidant personality disorder is when one avoids social situations. People with avoidant personality disorder, also known as APD, they do not want to associate because of fear of being judged or for fear of rejection. Yes, they feel like Maybe when I go closer to this person, they're going to reject me, or maybe when I go into this circle, they're going to reject me. That is another personality disorder that can coexist with PPD. Another is the borderline personality disorder. This borderline personality disorder is associated with extreme mood swings. When you see people that can swing their mood in the snap of your fingers, there are people like that. They swing moods at every instance they get. They have unstable relationships and they have difficulty, a high difficulty of controlling their emotion. People like that can be suicidal and they can have self-destructive behavior. Another personality disorder that can coexist with PPD is the antisocial personality disorder. These people, the antisocial, they do not even know how to relate with others. They do not know how to relate in the society. So they'd rather be on their own. So let's go further to treatment of PPD. Yes. Treatment of paranoid personality disorder. Actually, one thing with people living with PPD is they do not seek treatment. They do not seek treatment on their own, except a family, a co-worker, a friend encourages them or pushes them to seek therapy. That is it. So psychologists often use the talk therapy. We use the psychotherapy, we use the cognitive behavioral therapy, that's the CBT, and the DBT, which is the dialectical behavioral therapy. PPD actually poses a great challenge because most people living with PPD, number one, I told you they do not seek therapy on their own. Even when they go into therapy, they find it difficult in trusting and in confiding in their therapist, thereby posing a great difficulty on the part of the therapist. And sometimes they even question the whole therapy session. They feel that in fact the therapist is just there to know more about them, especially when they are referred. Let's say I have a husband living with PPD and then I refer him to a psychologist or a therapist. He begins to feel that maybe I'm trying to extort information from him using my therapist. That is how it is most of the time with people living with paranoid personality disorder. Drug use are not usually prescribed. When it comes to PPD, drugs are not prescribed, except, of course, the patient shows extreme symptoms. One can prescribe antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs. Then, this is the part that you need to know. If you have somebody living with paranoid personality disorder, here is how to deal. Number one, do not argue. Because people living with paranoid personality disorder, they do not take blames. They do not even want to know that they are wrong in a particular situation. So I beg that you do not argue when they're even bringing it out. Because the more you keep saying, you did this, you did that, my dear, you are in for a long talk. Do not argue. Let them make pointers to their own opinions. As much as you do not accept them, just keep your calm. Don't argue. Let them air their mind. Another is use simple and clear terms. I beg that you use simple and clear terms. Do not use ambiguous statements. Do not use statements that by the time they start interpreting it, because I told you I've been in a relationship with someone with PPD before. If I say A, he will tell me the various forms of A that exist. If I say B, he will tell me the various shades of B that exist. So please, in your own favor, just use clear and simple terms that one might not necessarily need to read meaning to. Okay, emphasize on their strengths. That is another point. As much as you want to make your own opinion known, emphasize on their strengths. You can start with something like, okay, I know you're a good person. I know you do this for me. I know you. Okay, you emphasize on the strengths. That is another way to deal with somebody living with PPD. Then another thing is offer clarifications by encouraging such to voice his or her thoughts in a non-defensive way. You need to encourage them to be able to voice out their thoughts, because sometimes, because of the antisocial character that comes with PPD, they tend not to voice out. They just want to be on their own. Please don't disturb me. You know those kind of feelings. So try to encourage them, push them a little bit. Don't do it. Don't overdo it. Don't go overboard with it. But push them a little bit to be able to voice out their opinion. Then lastly, ultimately, this is the best you could do for them. Refer them to a psychologist. Refer them to a therapist. Because who knows, you might not even be able to handle it. And the funniest part is some of them, they show extreme symptoms. Some of them are self-destructive, some of them can be suicidal. Yes. So that is all on this session, on the very first session of our therapy session, and we just talked about paranoid personality disorder. Thank you so much for joining in, and then if you're yet to subscribe, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get notifications when I post my video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.